If Bruce Lee was the philosopher of martial arts and Chuck Norris was the competitive machine, Joe Louis was the pure fighter. In the history of American martial arts, few figures loom as large or as intimidating as the man who would eventually be voted by his peers as the greatest karate fighter of all time. Joe Louis was not just a champion, he was a force of nature who forever altered the landscape of combat sports, bridging the gap between traditional karate and the high-octane world of modern kickboxing. The legend of Joe Louis began far from the bright lights of American tournaments. Stationed in Okinawa with the United States Marine Corps in the early 1960s, it was there, in the birthplace of karate, that the young Marine found his calling. He began studying Shorin-ryu karate under the tutelage of Eizo Shimabukuro. While most students spent years agonizing over the basics, Louis possessed a terrifying combination of natural athleticism and obsessive dedication. In a feat that remains almost unheard of, he earned his black belt in just 7 months. This rapid ascension was not due to a lack of standards, but rather a testament to Louis's ferocity. He treated karate training with the same intensity as combat. When he returned to the United States, he brought with him a style that was distinct from the American practitioners of the time. His karate was raw, powerful, and devoid of unnecessary movement. He immediately stormed the tournament circuit, capturing the U.S. National Karate Championship just months after his return. At the height of the blood and guts era of karate, where protective gear was non-existent and contact was heavy, Joe Louis was the predator everyone feared.
Despite his dominance in traditional tournaments, Louis was an intellectual who was constantly seeking to refine his combat efficiency. This quest led him to a pivotal friendship with Bruce Lee in the late 1960s. Louis was not merely a student of Lee, he was a contemporary and a testing ground for Lee's theories on Jeet Kune Do. The two men spent countless hours analyzing fight footage and mechanics. From Lee, Louis adopted the concept of independent motion, the ability to strike without a telegraphing setup. He took Lee's principles of economy of motion and applied them to a heavyweight frame. It was during this period that Louis perfected his signature double sidekick, a technique that could bridge a massive gap and crush an opponent's ribs before they could react. Louis took the philosophical water of Jeet Kune Do and turned it into concrete, heavyweight knockout power. By 1970, Louis had grown disillusioned with the point fighting circuit. He was a powerhouse who felt restricted by rules that forced him to pull his punches. He wanted to know if his karate would work when he was allowed to hit with full force. This desire led to a historic moment that birthed a new sport. On January 17, 1970, in Long Beach, California, Louis stepped into a ring wearing boxing gloves to fight Greg Baines. This was the first full-contact karate match in the Western world, the genesis of what we now know as American kickboxing. Louis dismantled Baines with a chilling efficiency, knocking him out in the second round. In that moment, the Golden Boy became the father of kickboxing. He went on to dominate the full-contact arena, retiring as an undefeated heavyweight world champion. He proved that a karate man could box, could take a hit, and could deliver knockout power that commanded respect from professional boxers and martial artists alike. Beyond his physical prowess, Joe Louis was a master tactician. He approached fighting with the mind of a scientist. He understood angles, ring generalship, and the psychology of the fight better than perhaps anyone of his era. He famously broke down fighting into distinct ranges and specialized in the gap, that dangerous space between being out of range and being in the clinch. His left hook was legendary, thrown with the mechanics that generated torque from the floor up, a rarity for karate practitioners of that time who were often taught to punch only from the hip. In his later years, he codified his knowledge into the Joe Louis fighting systems. He was a demanding teacher who had little patience for the mystical or the impractical. He taught his students that fighting was about physics and attitude, not magic. He emphasized the importance of physical conditioning, arguing that technique was useless if the engine driving it, the body, was weak. Joe Louis passed away in 2012, but his shadow over the martial arts world remains immense. He was the archetype of the American martial artist, strong, brash, analytical, and undeniably effective. He stripped the mysticism away from the dojo and replaced it with athleticism and reality. Every time a modern fighter steps into a cage or a ring and blends kicking with boxing, they are walking on the path that Joe Louis paved. He was, in every sense of the word, a warrior who lived to find the truth in combat.